Sí. Tú sabías.
Sachi o Turangai Talatala. Sachi o Pastor Patel, a Permanent Secretary and Senior Civil Servants. Distinguished guests, ladies, gentlemen, and children. It's a great pleasure for me to be with you here this morning and to take part in that march. One thing struck me when we were marching, and even as we sit here. I was hoping to see more able-bodied persons here today to show our support and recognition of those persons living with disability in Fiji. I hope and I pray that in the coming years, when we do celebrate the International Day of Persons Living with Disabilities, that I will get to see more able-bodied persons in support. Since 1992, the United Nations International Day of Persons with Disabilities has been celebrated annually on 3rd December. And as the good doctor has stated, we're celebrating it a bit earlier this year to enable our school children to be part of it. I wish to firstly congratulate the Fiji National Council for Disabled Persons, District Committee of Savusavu, for organizing this gathering and for steadily progressing the agenda on an inclusive society for all Fijians, especially those with special needs within the various spheres at the district level. This year's theme, Transformation Towards Sustainable and Resilient Society for All, is surely incorporated in the work of the FNCDP and district committees throughout the year. Persons living with disabilities comprise an estimated population of 1 billion people globally, of whom 80% live in developing countries like ours and are overrepresented among those living in absolute poverty. Also, 10% of the Fijian population is estimated to be made up of persons living with disabilities, or more accurately, persons with special abilities. I say an estimation because that is the reality in Fiji. We're currently just on the verge of collating data for the first time that will put on our records the number of persons living with disabilities in Fiji. We're hoping that this will come out of the census figures once those are consolidated. Persons living with disabilities are equally entitled to constitutional equality and human rights, and we are here to especially celebrate these rights that persons with special needs are entitled to. Today's celebration is of a unique nature in that we have the interaction of children from mainstream schools and special schools enjoying each other's company. What I see before me are the leaders of tomorrow, and what better way than this to prompt the positive change that our society urgently needs to ensure that Fiji is a home of equal opportunities and equal chance to all Fijians. Ladies and gentlemen, it is sad to note that people living with disabilities are at much higher risk of violence. For example, children with disabilities are almost 4 times more likely to experience violence than non-disabled children. Adults with some form of disability are 1.5 times more likely to be a victim of violence than those without a disability. And adults with mental health conditions are nearly 4 times the risk of experiencing violence. Factors which place people with disabilities at higher risk of violence include stigma, discrimination, and ignorance about disability, as well as the lack of social support for those who care for them. At this juncture, I wish to convey my heartfelt gratitude to the unspoken heroes, the caregivers of people with special needs. Whether you be mothers, fathers, aunties, uncles, grandfathers, grandmothers, teachers, and those who take care of children with special needs in the state homes and other religious-based homes around the country. I thank you most sincerely on behalf of the Fijian government. Evidence and experience shows that when barriers to their inclusion are removed and persons with disabilities are empowered to participate fully in societal life, the entire community benefits. Barriers faced by persons with disabilities are therefore a detriment to society as a whole, and accessibility is necessary to achieve progress and development for all. In recognition of the rights of all Fijians, including those who have been marginalized due to their special abilities, the Fijian government recently deposited with the United Nations our instrument of ratification to the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the new Rights of Persons with Disabilities Bill that is aligned to the Convention is currently with the relevant Parliamentary Standing Committee for review. To ensure compliance and implementation of the Convention and the bill once enacted, the Fiji National Council for Disabled Persons has been allocated funding of $1.2 million, an increase of over $700,000 in this current financial year. Government has also allocated an estimated budget of $7 million as a separate allowance for persons living with permanent disabilities, providing a monthly allowance of $90 per person per month. The Disability Allowance Scheme can be accessed through any social welfare office. $1.1 million is provided as grants to disability provider organizations serving persons living with disabilities. Apart from this, $500,000 has been allocated to construct a Western Disability Center like the one in Lambasa. There's also a continued 300% tax deduction on wages paid to disabled employees. Bus fare subsidy for persons with disabilities also continues. Additionally, $120,000 has been allocated to promote participation of disabled persons in sporting activities. Government has also provided funding to the Fiji Roads Authority to ensure that new roads and footpaths are disability friendly and provide easy access. Government has also allocated money to renovate government offices that are visited by large numbers of citizens to make them accessible to the disabled. Ladies and gentlemen, you can hear that government is doing quite a bit, from ratifying international conventions, building up national laws, providing money to boost programs geared towards empowering those persons living with disability in our country. Government cannot do this alone. A lot more needs to be done at community level. A lot more needs to be done by those of us who have been blessed with able bodies. We need to come out in full support of disabled persons in our country. Otherwise, all these government programs, all this government budget geared towards empowering the disabled may come to naught. It may not fulfill the purpose that it is there for. I therefore plead on behalf of government to each and every stakeholder in relation to persons living with disabilities in our country, in our town of Savusavu, in our province of the Kaundrove, and also the other two provinces on Vanuatu, to talk about the issue, recognize that it exists, and to give our full support wherever we can. It may mean just a conversation with children living with disabilities, visiting them at their schools, empowering them, telling them that they can achieve whatever they want to in life if given the proper motivation. These children can indeed become leaders of our country tomorrow and the days ahead of us. I wish to conclude again with a plea from my ministry, from the government of Fiji. I've stated at the start of my speech this morning, that I hope and pray that in the years to come, that when we do speak about persons living with disabilities in forums, when we do raise awareness on persons living with disabilities in our communities, that there will be more support from persons living without disabilities come out in numbers. When we march in relation to issues relating to women, you would have seen in the past few weeks, there's a whole host of different organizations coming with us, working with us, supporting our issues in relation to gender equality. I want to see the same. Government wants to see the same in relation to persons living with disabilities. So I urge you, all organizations out there, business houses, lend your support. Recognize the issues pertaining to persons living with disabilities, the marginalization, and how you, as a person, as an organization, can support them, empower them, so that we can together realize our aims and our dreams and our aspirations in relation to our children living with disabilities. Thank you.
And that believe in God and in themselves, that they can make it through. Celebration, and I wish to welcome you all this morning in this wonderful day. Looking after the people because it is elected by the people. I wish to thank the Ministry of Women. Those who are the least in the community. And Jesus says, if you do things for the least. Wonderful message.